Welcome to another episode of The Modern Hotelier. We are excited to launch this episode with Caroline Tissot from Accor. David, what was one of your highlights from the episode?
Yeah, it was great learning what Accor is doing with procurement and sustainability, and I think it was, for me, it was very educational. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the first time we've had somebody from procurement on the podcast. So it was great to learn a different perspective and also to learn somebody's perspective who, we get a lot of U.S. folks on here, but get somebody's perspective that is in Europe and, travels around the world a lot. So great episode and a lot of fun tidbits in this one. So enjoy.
All right, enjoy. Welcome to The Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. I'm David Malilly.
I'm Steve Karen.
And I'm John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David. Today we have on Caroline Tissot, the Chief Procurement Officer at Accor. With a distinguished career spanning across multiple industries, Caroline brings a wealth of experience in procurement and international business. Today we'll dive into her journey and the evolving landscape of the procurement space in the hospitality industry. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
All right. So welcome. So we're going to go through a quick lightning round. We're going to get to know you a little bit better, your background, your career, and then we're going to jump into some industry topics. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What is something that you wish you were better at?
Oh, very good question. What should I be better at? Being able to spend some time without doing anything, maybe?
Right. That's good. What's the most used app on your phone?
Waze. Just not to get lost.
What's a
I'm very
luxury?
bad at that.
That's funny. What's a luxury that you can't live without?
Luxury. Space, maybe?
Got it.
In space in my house, space in wherever I live.
If you could trade places with someone for a day, who would you trade places with?
Maybe, there is an actress I love. She is my generation. It's Julianne Moore. I'd love to spend a day in being Julianne Moore. I love her. I love the way she hacks. I love that.
Yeah, she's great. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Well, I would say in business, it's the best advice, I think, is step back, breathe, step back.
Right. That's great. Okay. Now, what's your favorite city and why?
Paris.
What do you like about Paris?
Everything. I love fresh people. I love friends. I love Paris. I love having my family around me. I love having my friends. I don't like traveling. I love being home.
Okay. Good answer.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, that's very true.
No, that's great. That's great. Now we're going to learn a little bit more about you, kind of a little bit more about your background. So I know you've spent a lot of time in Paris. You went to college there, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Normandy. Normandy is around 150 kilometers from Paris. It's on the west of France by the sea.
Sure.
How could I tell you? Do you know Normandy? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Rouen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew up in Rouen.
Okay. How did growing up there shape you into who you are today?
Very good question again. I think as a city of my ancestors, I am of one of these generation in France where generations before me, I've always been living in Rouen. My grandfathers, my grandparents, both sides, my parents, both sides. And I was the first generation to leave Rouen, to study in Paris, and then to work all over the globe, which is really, so how did it shape me? I think it gave me a lot of strengths because I really belong to somewhere where all my family is coming from and where I go back when I am tired or when don't feel that good or whatever. I have very strong roots.
So you got your degree in economics and political science and then your master's in economics. What made you decide those majors when you went to university?
I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I hesitated in becoming a doctor very hard. Then I decided not to become a doctor, which I think was a bad decision. But that's a decision I made. And, maybe 10 years after, when I was 30 years old, I really thought again about going back to school, even if I was working already, to study as a doctor. And I remember my husband really encouraged me to do it. Decided not to do it at the end. So to answer your question, I think it was Reiser General Studies. So as I didn't really know what to do.
Sure. So you've worked in various industries. What makes the hospitality industry so special to you?
I have to say I loved all industries I've been working for. I loved telco. Was super interesting and very interesting people. I really love GE. It's not an industry, but I've been working for General Electric. It was a multiple industry company, but super interesting company on various aspects. I've also been doing consulting for an American firm, and I really liked it. So do I prefer hospitality? Maybe, because it's really a super exciting sector, because it's cheerful, there is money, there is growth, there is, it's super nice. We're very gifted to work for this industry. But I wouldn't say, I like it very much, but I also like the others, to be honest.
Sure. That's fair. I think that's totally fair. So now that we got to learn a little bit more about you, we'll dive into your career, how you got to Accor right now. So you started your career as a consultant with Braxton Associates and then Deloitte in France. Mm-hmm. What did those early days teach you that you still take with you today?
A lot, in fact. It was like doing an MBA. When you're doing consultancy, when you're very young, you learn everything. You learn how to structure what you think. You learn how to write. You learn how to tell a story to a customer. You really learn a lot. I learned a lot during those 5 years. And I loved it, by the way. I also loved it.
And then you founded your own company. I'm going to pronounce this right up, Hubwoo. Mm-hmm. And then from there you went to GE. Mm-hmm. Was it difficult going from the company you founded, going to a large company like GE?
First, it was not my really a decision. Is because my husband moved to, at the time, Brussels. We were living in Paris. Then Hubwoo was really a French company. It was difficult to operate from Brussels. And I decided to sell the part I had in the company and follow my husband, which was my generation French type of things, I don't think the young French ladies that currently, for example, in the call would do the same today. And I think they are very, very right in doing so. But at that time, as a woman, you were always following. I've always been following my husband wherever he's been moving. So that's why, I've been moving all over the globe. It was difficult for various reasons. It was difficult because GE is a super processed company. I was not used to that. It was difficult because everything was in English and I was not used to speak English. And it was difficult because they were talking with acronyms all the time, letters. Letters.
Right.
But first, I remember I was lost. I didn't understand anything, etc. But it came. I had a super nice manager when I joined the company. And I'm going to tell you a story. 3 or 4 months after I joined GE, I was about to resign, really, because it was super, super tough. I felt I would never make it. At the time, I had 3 little kids, very little. It was too much. And one morning, I was in my office and I was thinking, I'm gonna resign. Then this guy entered my office and he told me, "How are you today?" I said, "Well, okay." He told me, "Well, I'm coming because I think you're about to resign, and it's too bad." I said, "What?" And he told me, "Well, I'm going to sit by you. We're going to take your computer and we're going to look at all those emails and things you have to do. And we're going to keep only what is important." And he took everything out. And he told me, "Okay, fine. Nothing to do now. Let's go on from scratch." It was incredible, And I learned so much from him. And again, he has been very important to me in my career. I've been working for him for 5, 6 years, 7 years before he moved. And, I remember very well that day. And I was really about to resign.
Yeah, that's a great story. And it seems like GE and hospitality have in common, we both have a lot of acronyms in the industry, It feels like. So probably was easier to move over to the hospitality industry after that a little bit. But so from GE, you went to, and I'm going to butcher this name too, Bouygues Telecom. Is that right?
Bouygues.
Thank you. I was totally close. Then from there, you went to Accor. and became the Group Chief Procurement Officer. Yeah. For those that may not be familiar with what your role is as a Group Chief Procurement Officer, can you tell them a little bit more about your roles and responsibility?
Yeah, sure. In fact, we are doing two things, or I am doing two things with my team. The first thing is that we are a standard procurement organization, and we do procurement for our core assets. We don't have a lot, so it's headquarters all over the globe, and it's brands. So we buy around 1 billion. So it's a small organization. As you know, as a hospitality company, we are asset light, so we don't own the hotel. But 90% of my job is something else, is I'm running a GPO for Accor hotels and also non-Accor hotels, by the way, because we also sell procurement to other brands. So that's what we do, being a GPO for hotels and also making procurement for the Accor company.
So with your experience now being at Accor, do you have a favorite memory so far or objective that you're most proud of?
Yes, I think when I joined the company, we were 150 in the team. We grow the organization. We are 300 people. The GPO has been growing a lot since I joined the company. So yeah, maybe it's the main achievement, I would say. It grew a lot because we are working more and more with Accor Hotel. Again, procurement, I didn't tell you, but procurement, at Accor is not compulsory, which means, working with Accor GPO is not compulsory. So the hotel can choose. Okay. They can work with us or they can work with other GPOs. So we grew the organization because we were able to grow, our capture rate, as we call it, with our hotel, but also we were able to grow our GPO outside of Accor. So we are doing procurement for other brand hotels, but also for senior homes, student homes, golf clubs, etc., in different parts of the globe. In France a lot, in Europe, in other countries in Europe, but also in Brazil and in Pacific, in Australia.
That's awesome. So now that we understand your background a little bit, now we're going to go into industry thoughts, kind of some areas of what you're working on at Accor. So one thing that Accor has done is made some significant strides in sustainability. You've eliminated single-use plastics and promoting local sourcing. Can you tell us a little bit more on some of the challenges and successes that you've had while implementing these initiatives? And if you have any recommendations for hotels, feel free to throw those in too.
Well, I think Accor, and not only procurement, Accor has been really one of the leading company and is one of the leading company in terms of sustainability transformation. We have a very strong sustainability chief officer, Brune Poisson. She is a former French minister. She was in charge of sustainability for the first Macron government, and then she joined Accor. She has super strong belief, but also super strong skills in all those fields. And she really is pushing super hard the group in moving towards sustainability practices. So, she is doing great, and procurement has been following super strongly what she wanted to do, because of course, as in most of the companies, procurement is now a big part of sustainability in a company. So we've been working hard to, as you were saying, eliminate single plastic items in hotels, front of the house, but also back of the house in every hotel, 6,000 hotels all over the globe in 180 countries. So it's a job. It's not perfect yet, but I think we are progressing super well. We have been implementing some very interesting different type of solutions around water. This is something that is important. No more plastic water and very different other, types of water solutions in our almost 50 brands. Of course, you don't propose same solutions as you can imagine in an economic hotel and in a Raffles for water or for whatever. So we had to work with manufacturers, suppliers to find innovative solutions around water. We've been doing a lot. We're working a lot around reducing the carbon emission of our supply chain. This is super important. As you know, like in every company, the emission of the suppliers are part of the emission of the company. So what we do is that first we embark suppliers, we measure with them their carbon emission whenever they work for Accor. And whenever we have this visibility with them, we put together some plans for them to reduce their carbon emission when they work for Accor. It seems to be easy like that, but it's a huge work for all companies today. In Accor, we have around 4,000 suppliers, which is not a lot. We've been doing this carbon emission measurement and action plan with 1,000 suppliers out of the 4,000 suppliers. So it's done. And those 1,000 suppliers, they represent around 70% of what we spend. So I think we're progressing well. But to do so, we are putting a hell of efforts. We recruited a lot of people to work in procurement around those sustainability topics at corporate level, but at hub level, at brand levels, on the ground, everywhere.
So how do you think the role of procurement linked to sustainability can help transform, change the hospitality industry?
It's super important. Sustainability and procurement, we are changing the company today. But not only us. I mean, the technical, what we call DTNS is the technical direction at Accor is also working very closely to sustainability for whatever, new type of product, new type of room we're going to propose to owners. It needs to be super sustainable. IT, we propose a lot of IT products, as you know, to owners, to hotel owners. They need to be sustainable. So IT is working super close to sustainability also. Procurement, definitely, in whatever, I will propose, sell as product or services, need to be much more sustainable. Maybe I can give you an example of something which I think is interesting. We've been working on sustainable housekeeping, which means we've been proposing to owners more responsible outsourcing with some contracts that are really more favorable for people that are cleaning hotels, more responsible towards themselves, the way we treat them, the way we train them, the way they're respected around their a lot of things around the way they work, working conditions, etc. All that type of things, is really linked to sustainability and sustainability transformation of the company.
So one thing that you're overseeing is the QSR, corporate social responsibilities, and the objectives that come with that. What are the objectives that Accor is focusing on in 2025?
So we have a lot around food and food waste reduction, of course. There are different pillars. So there is a lot around social and respecting the communities where we are living and implementing. There is a lot, of course, around reducing carbon emission for the company. So procurement is only one pillar, but you imagine there is a lot that we do at the hotel level to reduce the carbon emission of the hotels directly, not only through what they buy, of course. So carbon emission, food, social elevator, social, etc. I would say is the main, but I'm sure I forget some. But I would say it's the main things as big things, and then there are a lot of things on every pillar around food, around carbon, around eliminating plastic, etc.
And so what emerging trends do you see in procurement that will be impacting hospitality, and how is Accor preparing to adapt these emerging trends?
Sustainability, again and again, it's changing everything we're doing. The products and the servicing we are selling or we are to sell needs to be more and more sustainable. This is what the end customers, the guests, this is what they want. This is what the bank want when owners want to finance a new project. This is what our employees want and our talent want to join and stay in Accor. So sustainability, definitely something that is really changing what I'm doing. I've been doing procurement for 30 years now. This is the first time in my 30 years I have such a subject breaker, if I may, something different. So sustainability definitely, and I would say in a common manner, all around artificial intelligence, is changing tremendously, but not only procurement, but I see it in procurement every day. You know, the way we find suppliers, the way we make sure our supply chain is sustainable, the way we make sure our supply chain is whatever needs to be, all what we can do around data with this new intelligence. Every week I see things that is progressing around that. But again, it's not only procurement, it's the whole company.
Sure, absolutely. So do you have any advice for our listeners out there that may be interested in becoming a C-level executive for a hospitality company?
You know what? First thing is luck. No, but sure. I really believe that, you know, a lot of people can become a C-level. Why is it you that become? It's a question of luck. You are at a good place at the right time.
Sure.
Not only, but, you know, I think this is the first. So my first advice is make sure you have some luck. And then what? I'm from the old generation, so work.
Yeah.
And make sure that you work properly and you deliver what you're supposed to deliver. Make sure you have a good team is the first advice. If you want to be a good C-level, you need a good team. You know, it's not you who will do the job, it's a team. So make sure you attract talent, make sure you retain them, and make sure you have the people that need to leave the team.
I love that. One of my favorite quotes is "Make your own luck." So I love what you just said there. So
it's true. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been asking you questions this whole time. This is where we flip the tables a little bit and we let you ask David and I a question.
So tell me about what is a modern hotelier, etc. Exactly. I don't know what type of media you are, what you do, what is your audience. Sure. I don't know anything.
David, I'll let you take this one away. You can tell her what we do.
Yeah, so our purpose with this podcast was really to kind of educate and help hoteliers look at kind of what we're doing as an industry and trying to adopt technology and trying to move forward, because we are an industry that, you know, I worked in hotels in the 90s and have been on the tech side for 25 years. And, you know, we really look at it as, you know, we're trying to educate and bring new thoughts to hoteliers to start thinking about how do they adopt technology and keep moving, just like you said, with AI and things of this nature, because I think I already said it, but hotels are just usually very slow to adopt technology, even if it helps the environment, it helps their staff, or it helps their guests, they're still just slow. So I think we've used this as a way to try to educate the industry.
Okay, so you work mainly for hospitality.
Yep. So we'll interview hotel executives like yourself, technology companies that might be emerging to help the industry and things like that, but we keep it all hospitality.
And you do it all over the globe, or are you mainly US focused?
We are all based in the US, but we do have guests from all over the world on.
And who is listening to you?
Hoteliers. So a lot of our listenership is hoteliers. The number one listeners are GMs, decision makers in the hotels, and the second tier is their boss, owners of hotels, C-level executives of property management companies, things like that. And then we also have some tech companies, tech folks listening as well, and then some students as well.
But then maybe I can, if you allow me, give them a small message, a small message for them is that if ever they want Accor to do their procurement, I would be very, very pleased
there you go.
to have a contact with them.
Yeah. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
Well, our producer, John, has been listening the whole time here. So this is the last part of the show. He's going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to get you out of here.
When you answered the question about your favorite city, it was very clear what your favorite city was, and you felt very passionately about that. So my question is kind of somebody who is there, who loves it so much, people who come to visit, what would you recommend that they do outside of maybe the normal stuff? What are the things that they have to do besides like the main touristy things? I want you to give like some real insight into the cool things to check out.
Are you coming soon?
I have a friend who's over there right now, actually. So
yeah, I don't know, I love museum, I love theater. It depends on what you like to do, but maybe one thing I really like to do is either walk or run. I love running by the River Seine. The one maybe you saw during the Olympics for the opening. On the two banks, you have some special now paths, so where you can run or you can walk. And it's all over the Seine, all over Paris. It's great. It's absolutely great. You should do that as a start to look at the city. The city is beautiful.
I love that. Yeah.
Great. Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier. Caroline, you already kind of started, but this is where you get to let people know how they can find out more about Accor. How can they connect with you if they'd like to? So you can plug away.
They can write me at caroline.tissot@accor.com. And I'd be very, very pleased to answer to whatever they would be interested in. And I also travel all over the globe, unfortunately, all the time. So I can meet whoever wants in big cities. I might be soon near their place.
Okay. That's great. Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you. Until next time, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.